Namaskar. Welcome to Prakash on Basics. I am Prakash Zog. Today I will explain a few very common eye defects that in fact many of us face. Some are said to be congenital, that means from the time of birth. Some are acquired through our genes, some are age related, and some are due to our habits, which may not be exactly as they are supposed to be. Unless the defects are extreme, they can be easily overcome. And to detect all of them, you can use the method that I talked of some time back, which is the Snell's chart and interpretations in terms of those numbers 6 by 6 or 20 by 20 and so forth. We must also know about the spectacles that we use, the glasses, the contact lenses. There is one more aspect, which is surgery, but that I will come to a little later. We must know all of these also to understand what we use. The first of these problems is known as myopia. This is when you can't see things distinctly or clearly when they are far away. What you can see clearly is things that are near, and so this is referred to as nearsightedness or short-sightedness, but that shouldn't be misinterpreted. The cause for it is in most cases genetic, inherited from our parents, or you are born with this sort of a problem, or it could be a combination of your behavior pattern, the environment around you, plus your genetic problems that are there. This environmental issues could be things like you working in a condition where you constantly are reading and for hours together, working on very close distances, so that your ability to adjust to far off things starts disappearing. If you try to look far away, or if you try to remain in open for a long time, then you start getting headaches, and that's one of the indicators of what happens. But what happens really to cause what this particular defect, nearsightedness or myopia, is? We have a lens and it focuses an image that is not on the retina but slightly before it. So, this is the retina, the lens is somewhere here, and the image formed is slightly before it. So, obviously the focal length is a bit less. The power of the lens is more, so it is concentrating or bringing the light to focus at a point that is earlier than expected. So, naturally for this the lens must have been a little more bulging, and because of those ciliary muscles that we talked of, it can't become thin enough. There is another genetic problem. The eyeball, instead of being perfectly spherical, is slightly elongated. As a consequence, if it is a little longer than necessary, the rays are going to come to focus at a point slightly earlier. That could also be the cause of this myopia. Actually, it is not a very uncommon problem. Roughly around 22% of the total population of the earth has some sort of a myopic problem. And this problem could be actually for both your eyes or for only one of them, or it could be different levels for both the eyes, or it could be only one eye with one type of a problem and another eye with a different type of a problem. So, a variety of combinations are possible. So, how do you get rid of this? How do you solve this problem? Obviously, the eyeball can't be shortened. So, what do you need to do? The next logical step is to try and increase the focal length. Instead of coming here, let it go on the retina and form an image there. So, to increase the focal length, the rays that are coming inside have to be spread out a little bit. they are said to be diverged, and for this obviously you need to have an additional diverging lens of a suitable value. And that diverging lens then is, when we talked of lenses, I told you that a diverging lens is basically a concave lens. So you need to use a concave lens of a suitable diopter value. Now this lens could either be at some distance from your eye, which is what happens in the case you use spectacles or glasses, or it could be in contact with your eye surface, in which case it is typically referred to as a contact lens. There is another possibility, and that is to use corrective surgery. Out of all these, glasses, wearing glasses or spectacles is the simplest, safest, cheapest method of trying to solve this problem. Contact lenses are a bit more costly, but they give you a wider view, because when you are looking through glasses, what you can see, the angle at which you can see is restricted. As far as contact lenses are concerned, it is practically as good as your eyes itself, but then it has its own problems. There could be infection risk, and there is a lot of maintenance problem. They have to be cleaned regularly, so that is an issue as far as contact lenses are concerned. And then there could be, as I told you, a third possibility, which is using surgery. You must have heard of the word called LASIK, and LASIK surgeries are carried out. I will go into details because that is a big information unit, so we will talk of it sometime separately. If your eye has a problem which can be corrected by using lenses with -4 diopter to about -6 diopters, that means number -4 to -6, it is said to be simple myopia. It can be rectified using simple glasses. They are a little uncomfortable, but not very difficult to manage. Usually the number keeps on changing as you are growing, but after puberty there is hardly any change in your visual number, diopter value, and it then stabilizes. So if you are going to go in for surgery, it has to be only after you have crossed the age of 18 to 21, and only then can the surgery give you best of possible results. In case of myopia, early detection as far as babies are concerned is very important, and I told you this last time also, that if the number is not, if it is very large, the baby is not really aware that it has a problem, and so it gets used to even that particular type of level of visual ability, acuity as it is known as, and then further development in its eyes do not take place, and this can result into permanent lack of the ability of the eye. So it is better that small children are tested as soon as possible. As soon as they start going to school, you must make sure that they have got some sort of an eye test done, so that they do not face a problem in school. If it is congenital or infantile type of a myopia, then it is at a very early stage. There is the next level which occurs when you are in school, and excessive close work, children reading with books very close, or bending their head down and writing, practically putting their head on paper and then writing. All these put an excessive strain on your eye, and then its ability to see at large distances is lost. So outdoor activities are equally important, because they keep you in the habit of adjusting your eye, accommodating it for larger distances also, and so this problem does not arise. And so what do you do for correction? As I told you, if you have myopia, that is nearsightedness, you have a negative diopter number, so the lens is diverging, which tends to increase your focal length, so that the image is formed exactly on the retina, and this can be done by using an external lens or a contact lens. There is an opposite case also, and previously it used to be called hypermetropia. Nowadays it is just referred to as hyperopia. In layman's language, it is known as long-sightedness. So you can see things that are at large distances, but you can't see things that are at very close distance. Whatever object is very close to you appears to be slightly blurred or diffused. The causes, as I said, are obviously going to be opposite to what we did in case of myopia. The lens can't become thick enough, it tends to remain thin. If it is thin, the rays are going to come to focus at a greater distance beyond the retina, or there is a possibility that the eyeball, instead of being circular, is slightly flattened out like this, and so the light coming from here goes to its normal position, which is slightly beyond. So what do? The process is going to be just exactly opposite than the previous one. So what you want to do is, if it is not coming to the point, you further converge the rays further, and to do that, as I said, you can't re-elongate the eyeball. So you need to put an additional lens in front, which is to bend the rays enough to come to focus on top of the retina. And so what you need to do is to use a convex lens, which obviously has a positive diopter number, and so you find out what your error type is, whether it is a near vision or a further vision, and then use a suitable lens in front. Again, like last time, you could either use a lens that is in front of your eye on a set of system which we call spectacles, or it could be a contact lens. The possibility of surgery is here also. In a very rare case, which is not very common, there is a very small possibility that you are born with a defect where the refractive index of the material of the lens itself is less than average, and in that case obviously it does not have the ability to focus the light at the right point, and or the other way around, and so this has to be corrected by treated as a special case and treated in a slightly different manner. Usually it can be worked out by normal methods also. The other option for such cases is to remove that particular lens and put an implant, as it is known. So that is one more possibility. So you need a positive number, a positive diopter value, a converging lens of suitable value, which will ensure that the image is formed on the retina, or go in for a surgery which is a LASIK surgery or another type of a simplified version. There is a third possibility of eye defect that is there, very common, and that has to be associated with what is known as an aging problem. We are a machine, we keep improving ourselves up to the age of around 20-25, where the rate of improvement is more than the rate at which our cells are degrading, and so naturally we are in a very good physical state. But once you cross that barrier of around 30-35 years, you start aging. We do not want to accept it, but our body parts do, and so their quality starts deteriorating. The muscles that could adjust things to such a large extent can't do it and restrict themselves to a little less value. All cells Many of our body cells are also leaving, some special ones are always replaced, but those inside the lens, they are going to die with time, and some of them do die, and they cannot be replaced. You can't take them out and put a new set of cells inside. That's not feasible in case of a lens of this sort. And so the lens becomes hardened at that area, or it loses its flexibility, or it starts blocking the light because it isn't really working. The blocking of light results into one more major problem. That's not a minor problem, it's a major problem, and that we will talk of separately sometime. So what do you do? If it is an aging issue, neither can the lens relax enough, neither can be made bulging enough, and such defect which appears or starts showing its presence around the age of 40 is when you can't read things that are very close, neither can you see things that are very far away, and that defect is known as presbyopia. So you have myopia, you have hyperopia or hypermetropia, and this third one is presbyopia, more of an aging problem. How do you detect it? You find that you cannot really read clearly, you need more amount of light, you can't see things that are very far away, neither can you recognize people who are a little far away, and you find that reading newspapers or looking at close things is getting pretty difficult, and you tend to hold things a little more far off, and all this is associated with presbyopia. The alternative of the detection process obviously is to again go back to that Snellen's chart and visit your doctor and find out what your eye quality and level is, 6/9, 6/18, 6 by maybe up to 36 and so forth, and then take suitable correcting glasses. As far as presbyopia is concerned, there is one more issue in this. This is a natural aging process, and before that, if your eye was very good, then what you need is just a convex lens which is used for reading, and these are all very typical standard plus 1 plus 0.5 plus 1.5 plus 1 plus 2.5. These are standard glasses. Many a times they are available even in very big major stores, and these are typically referred to as reading glasses, and so people wear them and remove them when they are not reading and get away with it. But if your original eyesight itself is defective and you are already using glasses, then there is one set of lenses that is essential to see things that are far away, and this is a new problem. So you might have to use two glasses. Instead of that, what is done is you have what is known as a bifocal set of spectacles. So what you do is you have the glasses, and the upper half of it is used to see these things that are far off, and is polished and graded with its number according to that part, which could be, let us say, -1, and for reading you need let us say +1. So the lower half of the glasses is designed to have a focal length of +1, and it is then that is 2. So bifocal glasses. There is obviously a boundary, and so when you have to see far away things, these people tend to see like this, because the glasses then tilt forward and you can see right through. I am not wearing my glasses now, so I would, if I have a bifocal set of glasses, when I read, I would tend to hold the book down here and look from the lower part and read, and look from the top to see further away. Sometimes this can get very uncomfortable, and as technology increased and improved, there was a possibility of redesigning a single lens with a variable focal length, and it is therefore naturally known as a varifocal set of glasses. So, either you use a varifocal set of glasses or a bifocal set of glasses and rectify the problem that you are facing. Typically from an age of 40 to around 65 years, you begin to realize this reading problem. Looking at paper or newspaper or fine print or looking at laptops and not being able to identify things, and then you possibly go in for a correction for your eyesight. Surgery is not really advisable for presbyopia. Neither is contact lens issue comfortable as far as presbyopia is concerned. So, using glasses or a variable focal length set of glasses is a good enough solution at that particular age. So, these are ideally the three typical type of problems, but there is one more, and that is known as astigmatism. The original word astigmatism is from optics, and it is associated with the behavior and response of a lens. What happens is, any lens is expected to, I talked of lenses long back and told you how a varying prism finally designs and decides on how the lens works, and if it is like this, I turn it around and keep it like this, let us say, and so I have a circle in front of me, and suppose I draw a line through its center, which is nothing but a diameter. This is typically referred to as a meridian. So, I would have a vertical meridian for a lens or horizontal meridian for a lens. Actually, common sense will tell you any line passing through the center is going to be a diameter and therefore a meridian for that particular lens. So, the meridian can also be inclined at different angles. Now, in some cases, the lenses inside or the cornea's shape outside is not as expected. So, rather than being spherical, it has some deformities, and so along one meridian the light produces an image on the retina, and along the other meridian it cannot produce image on the retina. So, for one meridian the light comes to focus slightly before and the second one comes here, or there is a possibility that with one of them the light goes beyond and the second one brings the light in focus on the retina itself. So, both myopic or hyperopic type of a defect can appear in this, and small children or many elders also sometimes if they can't read something that is far away, tend to incline their head a little bit, and then they can manage to see things clearly, this side or this side, and a slight inclination of head. So, you will see some people tend to read like this. The reason is they once they incline their head, then their set of letters, all of them tend to come to focus. If not, they are out of focus in some parts and in focus either vertically or horizontally, and this defect then typically is astigmatism. Let me tell you technically that in case of optics or lens properties, if there is a point, it will produce a line as an image. A point source will produce a line source, and that is typically what astigmatism is, and there is a distortion in the image itself that takes place. But as far as human eye is concerned, this is what happens. So, different parts do not have the same focal length, not spherically, but along different sides. And so, what do you do? So, what you do is, rather than design a lens that has focal length in terms of circles, you design it using cylindrical shape, and then these people have what is typically referred to as a cylindrical number. Many of us who have gone to an ophthalmologist, if I walk into my ophthalmologist's visit, if I go and talk to her, she would tell me that okay, you have a cylindrical number also in addition to the spherical one, which means that I have an astigmatism problem also. And so this astigmatism problem could either be myopic or hypermetropic. So it could be positive number or negative number also. And for that, what is done is that while reading that particular chart, a disc of the corresponding magnification or a lens of suitable magnification is put in front of that corresponding eye, and its position is gradually rotated till things become clear, and then she can identify along which axis there is a problem and which axis needs correction. And so you have a cylindrical number which also gives you an indication as to what angle the defect is. So in this manner, now using a set of computers, suitable grinding is done to the lens, and your lens that is given to your for your eye has both spherical as well as cylindrical number included, so that now wearing these glasses you will be able to see things very clearly and comfortably. And if it can obviously be done for external glasses, it can obviously be done for contact lenses also. For astigmatism, the focal points are not really coordinated, and so an additional suitable measurement has to be taken. So you can't just randomly pick up somebody else's glasses and wear them and expect that you would start seeing things properly. So that has to be taken care of. What else do we need to know? I talked of problems that are genetic. I talked of problems that can be compounded by adding on our habits to our genetic problems or your congenital problems, and then creating some problem in our eye. But there could be other situations. There could be overexposure, diabetes, or many other diseases, and these are some factors that might also trigger the defects that we have been talking of. So these are the type of variety of problems that many of us have. The only thing that I have not mentioned now is to remind you of what these numbers really mean. I mentioned that once long back, but since I am now talking of myopia and hyperopia and astigmatism, I must also mention this once more. When you get glasses, on your card which indicates what glasses you have, there is a certain information that is given, that your number is -1 or +1 or +1.5 or -1.5 or +2.5 or +4 and -6 and so forth. What is its relation with terms to focal length is something that I had told you, but since it is a reference here again, I will remind you of that once more. Plus and minus will only indicate that if it is minus, it is a concave lens, and if it is plus, it is a convex lens or a converging lens. The numbers will give you the same results. So if the value is +1, then its reciprocal is 1/1, which is 1. So the focal length will be 1 meter. If your number is +2, then 1/2, which will mean half a meter, is the focal length of the lens that you are using, and in centimeters it would be 50 centimeters. If your number is -5, then 1/5 meters is the focal length, and 1/5 is 1/5 of a meter, which is 20 centimeters. So the focal length is 20 centimeters. So as the number starts increasing, the power or the ability of that lens to converge starts increasing, and that is why you say that, oh, he has a number of -6 or +6, and then it means that you are using thick glasses to focus the light or to correspondingly diverge it out, thin in the center and more curved outside. So, this is how the diopter value also works out. There is some more information that we must also know as far as contact lenses are concerned. Contact lenses are something that was worked on long back. It is and once very Thomas Young, one of the early proponents around 1801 or something, is the one who originally started talking and putting these concepts to use. But that time things were not really very comfortable. So, adding on something on our eye was not very convenient as far as normal humans were concerned. So, a contact lens has to go inside your eye, coming in contact with the surface of your eye. First question is, why does it stay there? That is because of the fluids. So, because of surface tension, it gets attached. So, you have to casually bend down and put it on, and then it sticks on to the top region of the eye in front of the cornea, and then focuses the light of a suitable value. There are 2 or 3 major issues in this directly. You can't wear contact lenses 24 hours, 24/7. It does not really work. They have to be cleaned, they have to be maintained properly. There is a certain amount of wear time for which you can wear them, or remove them at night, keep them out separately, so that the eye will get back to its normal conditioning and interact with the surroundings without the presence of that material on top. Originally, when all these lenses started off, as I said, around 1801 is when Thomas Young started his experiments and designed a contact lens for the first time. But those were very crude and were very unsafe. Things started improving more or less after the 1950s, when very good quality plastic materials were developed. Polymethyl methacrylate is the category of plastic that is used, which can be used to form the necessary contact lens. There was a problem even then, and these were said to be hard contact lenses and unbreathable contact lenses. Realize what is happening. You are putting something on top of your eye and blocking your cornea from being in contact with the open spaces and the fluids that are coming, which are all providing nourishment. And one of the major nourishment that is essential is oxygen. And these lenses, contact lenses, are not going to let that oxygen get through. So, in no time at all there would be irritation and problems. So, contact lenses, aesthetic sense, you do not have to use black goggles and so forth, but they were very uncomfortable at that time. Much later, a lot of people worked on this and developed what are known as soft hydrogel lenses, and these are the ones that are breathable. Breathable in sense, they are extremely very microscopic pores through which oxygen can diffuse through, and once that happens, you can obviously keep these lenses on for a longer time. And so, this is how contact lenses work. Nowadays, contact lenses are used by a lot of people throughout the world, but there are a lot of difficulties, and they have to be replaced with time. They give you a better vision. You can do away with spectacles, but they have to be cleaned regularly, they have to be maintained in fluids, kept free of all possible infections. Putting them on and removing them is not really very comfortable till you get used to them, but it is a solution where you can do away with glasses. As I told you, for all these defects, surgery is one more issue, but that is a big topic to deal with. So, I will come to that sometime later. And then these are all common problems. There are some serious problems with eyes also. cataract and glaucoma and color blindness and night blindness. We need to talk of those also, understand what they are. We will come to that sometime later. If you liked whatever I have said, please tell your friends about it. Let them also understand what eyes are and what their problems are. When I come back, we'll 15 days from now, we'll talk of some other defects, because we need to know our eyesight and our vision very well, and also look into the possible surgery techniques that are used for so many reasons. A brief idea as to what is something that all of us must know about. Till then, Namaskar.